I fled from an abusive husband and was taken in by a friend. She opened the doors of her home to me, gave me food and a roof, and in exchange, I stole her husband. Today, at 65 years old, I reveal the bitter price I paid for being an unscrupulous woman. What happened in that house in Georgia changed our lives forever and left a lesson that everyone needs to hear before it's too late. The first few days at Sarah's house felt like a dream of freedom. I had my own room, a job that gave me my first honest dollars, and above all, I had peace. Sarah was an angel. She bought clothes for me, cooked my favorite meals, and we spent hours in the kitchen laughing about the past. But the danger wasn't outside in the hands of my abusive ex-husband. The danger was in the Sunday dinners, in the reflection of the hallway mirror, and in the way Mark, her husband, watched me when she wasn't looking. Mark worked as a civil engineer and had a calmness that hypnotized me. Coming from a home where screams and breaking plates were the soundtrack, I was fascinated by his kindness. The first time our hands touched by accident was in the kitchen. Sarah had gone to church, and I was putting away the dishes. He leaned in to grab a glass, and our fingers brushed. It was as if a bolt of lightning shot through my body. I should have pulled back. I should have apologized and left the room. But I looked at him, and to my terror and fascination, he didn't look away. "Are you adjusting well, Mary?" he asked in a low, husky voice. At that moment, I felt he wasn't asking about the house, but about my heart. I replied that I was, that I had never been treated so well. And he, with an audacity that made me tremble, said, "You deserve to be treated like a queen, Mary. I'm so sorry for everything that man did to you." Those words were like sweet poison. Sarah gave me shelter, but Mark gave me the validation I never had. We began having whispered conversations in the early hours of the morning. When Sarah fell asleep, I would go down to the kitchen to get a drink of water, and there he was. We talked about life, about lost dreams, and about how his marriage to Sarah, though stable, lacked fire. He said she was a wonderful woman, but that their connection was more brotherly than passionate. And I, instead of defending my friend, instead of saying, "She loves you, respect her," I listened. I encouraged it with my silence and my longing stares. Guilt visited me every morning when Sarah hugged me and said she was happy to have me there. I felt disgusted with myself, but at night, the desire for Mark was greater than any moral principle. I was starved for love, and he was the banquet that belonged to my savior. The atmosphere in the house began to change. Sarah, in her purity, thought her husband was just being attentive to a friend in need. She didn't realize that under her roof, a silent and cruel betrayal was being woven every minute. I remember a rainy day when Sarah had to travel to visit her sick mother in another city. It was just Mark and me. The silence of the house was deafening. The air was heavy with electricity. I knew what was going to happen. And God forgive me, I wanted it to happen. That night, the betrayal stopped being just an exchange of glances and late-night talks. That night, I betrayed the only person who reached out to pull me out of hell. And the worst part? I felt that finally, I belonged somewhere. If you are moved by Mary's story and want to know what happened after this forbidden encounter, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Your interaction helps our community grow and allows us to continue bringing real and emotional stories like this one. What would you do in Sarah's place? Comment below as we continue. Living under the same roof as the man you love, knowing he belongs to your best friend, is a form of torture I chose for myself. After that night, Sarah traveled. The floodgates opened. There was no going back. Mark and I became lovers inside her home. It was a dangerous game, adrenaline mixed with a constant fear of being caught. Every time Sarah went to the market, to work, or to church, we lost ourselves in each other. I felt like a criminal. I would look at the photo frames in the living room, Sarah and Mark on their wedding day, smiling and full of plans, and nausea would rise in my throat. But then Mark would appear, touch my face, and say I was the woman of his life, that he had never felt anything like this for Sarah. He said she was too good, but that I was his soulmate. And I, selfish and desperate for that affection, believed every word. The atmosphere in the house began to feel strange. Sarah, who was always an intuitive woman, started noticing her husband was distant. He no longer kissed her with the same tenderness, and their conversations died before they even started. In her infinite kindness, she thought the problem was work stress. She even vented to me, "Mary, I feel Mark is so far away. Am I doing something wrong? I'm afraid our marriage is cooling down." Can you imagine the pain of hearing that from the woman who saved you from abuse? I had to look into her eyes and lie. "No, Sarah, it must be exhaustion. Mark loves you, you know that." That sentence burned my tongue like hot coals. I was stabbing her in the back while she offered me a shoulder to cry on. Our clandestine relationship lasted for months. I already had my job and some money saved, but I couldn't bring myself to leave that house. I was addicted to his presence. Mark began to grow reckless. He left hidden notes that I had to frantically destroy. Once, Sarah almost found one of my scarves with his cologne on it in the laundry. My heart was in my throat, cold sweat running down my back, but we didn't stop. Finally, the tension reached its limit. Mark couldn't take the double life anymore. He told me one night while we were hiding in the garden, "Mary, I can't touch Sarah anymore. Every time I look at her, I see you. I'm going to ask for a divorce. I want to be with you, build our life somewhere else." My heart raced. It was what I wanted, but the price was Sarah's total destruction. I knew if he did this, I would be the one to blame. I would be the traitor friend to the whole town. But the promise of a life with him, without having to hide, spoke louder than my conscience. I gave the green light. I said, "Do what you have to do." I didn't know it, but Sarah was already starting to connect the dots. She found a receipt from a restaurant where Mark had taken me on a day he said he was working late. She wasn't a fool. The final confrontation was being drawn, and the stage would be the dining room she had set up so lovingly to welcome me. The storm was coming, and I had nowhere to run. The tension in that house was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Sarah didn't smile anymore. She walked through the house like a ghost, silently observing the small details that didn't fit. I felt her eyes on me during dinner, a look that was no longer protective, but full of corrosive doubt. I avoided eye contact, focusing on my plate, while Mark maintained an icy calm that frightened me. The bomb exploded on a rainy Tuesday. Sarah came home early from work because she wasn't feeling well. She didn't call ahead. When she opened the front door, she didn't find an empty house. She found us in the living room. There was no room for lies, no way to invent an excuse. The shock on her face is an image that haunts me to this day, 36 years later. She didn't scream. She simply lost all color, leaned against the wall, and slid to the floor, sobbing a sound like a mortally wounded animal. "How could you, Mary?" she whispered, her voice trembling, loaded with a disillusionment that hurt more than any beating I ever took from my ex-husband. "I took you off the streets. I gave you food, I gave you clothes, I gave you my trust. I called you my sister. I tried to step closer, tried to say it wasn't planned, that the heart doesn't choose, but Mark held me by the arm. With a coldness that gave me chills, he looked at his wife and said, "It's over, Sarah. I'm sorry, but it's Mary I love now. I'm filing for divorce." Those words were the mercy blow. Sarah looked at the man she had built a life with and saw a stranger. Then she looked at me and saw a serpent. "Get out of my house," she said, with a dignity I would never have. "Both of you, get out now. Take what is yours, but leave my soul in peace." We left. That same night, we threw our things in the car and went to a cheap roadside motel. I felt victorious and filthy at the same time. I had the man I wanted, but I had left a trail of destruction behind me. Mark tried to comfort me, saying, "Time heals everything." But deep down, I knew some wounds never close. The whole town found out. Devastated, Sarah couldn't stand the humiliation of being betrayed inside her own home and moved away months later, vanishing from our map. Mark and I got married in a civil ceremony shortly after. There was no party, no white flowers, just the two of us and the weight of our choice. I thought that away from that house, the guilt would go away. But the truth is, when you build your happiness on the ashes of someone else, the smell of smoke never leaves your skin. I was pregnant. And as a new life grew inside me, I wondered, what kind of mother would I be, having been such a cruel friend? The first years of marriage with Mark were a desperate attempt to prove to the world, and to ourselves that what we had was true love and not just a sordid betrayal. We had children, built a new house in another city, far from the accusing glares of our old neighborhood. But Sarah's ghost never left us. She was the silent third party in our bed, at our Christmas parties, and in every look of doubt I cast toward Mark. You know what's most ironic? When you start a relationship through betrayal, you plant a seed of distrust that never stops growing. Every time Mark arrived 10 minutes late from work, my heart would race. I thought, if he was capable of betraying Sarah, who was a perfect wife and my best friend, what stops him from doing the same to me? Insecurity became my shadow. I became a controlling, anxious woman, always searching for signs that karma was knocking at my door. Remorse began to manifest in physical ways. I developed insomnia. In the sleepless hours of the night, I relived the scene of Sarah sliding down the wall, the sound of her muffled crying. I wondered where she was, if she had managed to rebuild her life, or if I had permanently destroyed her ability to trust anyone. Mark, for his part, avoided mentioning her name. He became a quieter man, perhaps carrying his own weight, or perhaps realizing that the overwhelming passion he felt for me was turning into the gray routine he had tried to escape. Our children grew up without knowing the truth. To them, we were a solid couple, an example of union. But inside, I felt like a fraud. Every time one of my daughters brought a friend home, I felt a chill. I watched them with an irrational fear, wanting to scream, "Don't trust too much. Don't let anyone into the heart of your home." I projected my guilt onto them, becoming an overprotective and sometimes paranoid mother. As the decades passed, the fire of that forbidden passion went out, leaving only the ashes of complicity and shared guilt. Mark and I grew old side by side, but there was an abyss of unspoken secrets between us. I looked at him, now a white-haired man, and I no longer saw the hero who saved me. I saw the accomplice to my greatest sin. I discovered, in the most bitter way, that the happiness you steal from someone else has no flavor. It's like a plastic banquet, beautiful from a distance, but impossible to nourish the soul. I was an indecent, unscrupulous woman, and old age did not bring the forgiveness I sought so much. It only brought me the time needed to reflect on how small I was in the face of the greatness of the one who helped me. Today, at 65, I look back and see a road filled with fog. Mark passed away 2 years ago. He left silently while he slept, and I found myself alone in this house that is far too big. Since I buried him, silence has become my most loyal companion, and at the same time, my harshest judge. Many people tell me, "Mary, you were a good wife. You took care of him until the end." But they don't know the foundation of the house I built. They don't know that every brick of this home was cemented with the pain of a woman who only wished me well. You know, I tried to look for Sarah. About 5 years ago, I hired a private investigator. I didn't want her forgiveness. I knew I didn't deserve it. I just wanted to know if she was alive, if she had found someone who loved her as she deserved. The result broke me inside. Sarah never married again. She moved to the countryside and dedicated her life to caring for orphans and women who were victims of violence. She transformed the pain of betrayal into healing for others, while I transformed my escape into a prison of remorse. I spend my days thinking about what I would say if she were sitting here in front of me now. Would I ask for forgiveness? No, that would be selfish of me, wanting her to lighten my burden. I would just say, "Sarah, you were the angel I didn't know how to honor." The naked truth is that I was an indecent woman. I was the one who bit the hand that fed me. I used the excuse of following my heart to justify a lack of character that follows me to the grave. Passion fades, desire burns out over time, but the conscience, oh, the conscience is eternal. I had the man, I had the children, I had the financial security I wanted so much when I fled that abusive husband. But I never had peace. I could never look at a family photo without feeling like an intruder in a life that shouldn't be mine. So, for those of you listening to me, perhaps cleaning the house or resting after a long day, listen well to what this old woman has to say. Life is made of choices, and love does not justify everything. Do not destroy the sanctuary of the person who welcomed you. There are boundaries that, once crossed, change who you are forever. I became the villain of my own story of salvation. My final message to you, from the depths of my tired soul, is a bitter warning. Never let anyone into your homes. I know it sounds harsh. I know charity is noble, but help from a distance. Reach out your hand, but keep your door locked. Because the most painful betrayal, the one that kills the soul from the inside, doesn't come from a declared enemy. It comes from the person you least expect. It comes from the one who eats from your plate, sleeps in the room next door, and knows your weaknesses. Don't be like me. Don't trade your peace for a stolen happiness. The price is too high, and the remorse is the only thing you will take with you when the lights go out. If this story touched your heart or made you reflect on life, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next stories. Comment below which city you are watching from and share your opinion. Do you think love justifies what Mary did, or was her mistake unforgivable? Turn on notifications and be part of our